Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us for the third Progress session of 2023. Progress is Phi Kappa Tau's digital education platform, allowing us to address topics that are important to our members, but may not fit into our traditional education programming. My name is Michael Lukens. I'm a 2008 initiate of our Alpha Pi chapter at the University of Washington, and it is my pleasure to serve as the Dean of Education for the Phi Kappa Tau Education Committee, and also to introduce you to our important topic this evening about building the skills to help you get a job post-college. As something that we have coming up, we will be having job sessions at our convention in Las Vegas this summer. And a reminder, that's July 9th through the 11th. We'll be having conversations over breakfast. So I do hope to see many of your faces there and get to know you and connect you with some undergraduates in the field that you may be applying for. We have a lot of important business to attend to there, but there will be some fun to be had as well. And again, I just sincerely hope that many of you can join us there. As a quick logistical note for our session tonight, our subject matter expert is Mike Casasanta. Mike is a 2003 initiate of our Delta Kappa chapter at Tennessee, a former executive office staff member, and he has over 15 years of experience in the education field, focusing on career readiness. So we are delighted to have Mike here with us tonight, and I'll hand it off to him.
All right, thanks, Michael. I appreciate it. It is a pleasure to be with everyone this evening on this unique platform and to deliver you this information that I feel is going to help prepare you for landing a job, that dream job after school. And the name of our session this evening is the Job Search Playbook. And once again, I am Mike Casasanta. I was initiated in 2003 at our Delta Kappa chapter at the University of Tennessee. A little bit about me. Originally, I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I graduated once again from the University of Tennessee with a degree in journalism and electronic media. I currently live in Greensboro, North Carolina. I have a wife and a son named Knox, and I have over 15 years of experience working in education, particularly working with students and helping focus them on finding that dream career after school or at some point in their professional journey. Like I said, I was initiated to the Delta Kappa chapter in 2003, so wow, 20 years ago. And I was the chapter social chairman, vice president of alumni relations, and membership orientation officer. Immediately after graduation, I went to go work at the Phi Kappa Tau executive offices, where I was a leadership consultant, where I would travel around visiting different chapters and telling them about different Phi Tau programs and working on chapter improvement and also focusing on alumni relations. I soon switched over to leading up our expansion program, which was a awesome time for me. I loved that part of the work and trying to bring the Phi Tau brand all over the country from coast to coast. Currently, I am a high school business teacher, and I'm also a football coach. And that is why the session is titled The Career Playbook. I am the head junior varsity coach at the high school that I teach at, as well as I coach the offensive line. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about who we are. Just go ahead in the chat box or in the comments section on the video. Just tell us your name, your major, chapter, and if you held any offices as an undergrad, and what your academic and professional goals are. And just take 30 seconds to type that in the chat box for us, or comment on the video. So as we get going today, and I know it's dinner time, or you may have just had dinner, or you're getting hungry again, I got a question for you. And my question is, I want to know from you, is how do you make a pot roast? Now, you may be thinking to yourself that, geez, why are we talking about food? Well, I'll give you a quick hint. I definitely recommend to you that once you graduate from school, that you invest in a crock pot, because telling you guys, you can have to make some good quick meals um, really easily. You look like a gourmet chef. And I have a Jamboard for you to complete. So if you just click on the picture right there, it's going to take you to a Jamboard that asks you different ways of how to make a pot roast. So I'm going to give you guys about 45 seconds and answer that question for me. And so here's the screen. That's what it looks like. So just go over here on the left-hand side of the page, there's a little sticky note. And I want you to tell me your favorite recipe for how to make a pot roast or what goes inside. So my favorite type of pot roast, of course, I'm a big guy. I like eating red meat. So I need to have some red meat. Then I love me some carrots. Also like me some potatoes. And I cannot spell this evening. I don't know how to spell potato. So just go ahead right there and just type in for me what you like. And we'll take another 20 seconds in order for you to fill that out. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, Mike, why in the heck did you have us do that? Well, the reason is because just like there are multiple ways to make your favorite type of pot roast or anything in the crock pot, in whatever recipe you use, whatever ingredients you put in, there's a lot of different ways to do it. And finding a job is the same way. And so not every way, there's not one exact magic bullet for you to do that. There's multiple ways, multiple strategies that you can use. So I want to challenge you this evening. What I'm going to share with you is, it's stuff that's worked for me in the past. It's stuff that I have taught students, and I've helped them place them in many jobs over the years. This is stuff that works for me. It may not work for you, but I feel like if you follow at least some of this a little bit, it's all going to work out for you. So let's get out. First thing you need as you get going for looking for a job is you need a good game plan. Like any game that I go into when I coach, if I don't have my team prepared, we are going to get blown out of the stadium. The guys won't be ready to play. They will come out sloppy, will drop passes, will just totally look unorganized. And when you look for a job, being organized is very key. And having a game plan that will allow you to be successful in this process, because it is not an easy process to find a job. It takes a lot of hard work. There's a lot of different things that you need to do in order to get that job. Either it's your first job out of school, or if you're a seasoned professional who's been working for 5 years, there's still a lot of things that you need to do. So here's a couple things that I'd recommend as you get going and get your game plan started. Figure out your next move. Don't be afraid to try new things. Be an intern. Go to, if you're interested in fundraising one day, I challenge you, go to the fundraising office on your campus, see if you can help, see if you may be able to job shadow someone who works there to figure out if this is something that works for you. Update your resume or even create a resume. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit later in the presentation, as well as networking like it's your job. One of the most important things, though, you need to do as you go ahead and you get started on this journey is clean up your social media habits. Have a clean Facebook profile, have a clean Twitter profile, have a clean Instagram file. If you still use MySpace, clean up that MySpace. Make sure it's clean, because you want an employer is going to go and check that stuff like a hawk. One, I was working a couple years ago for a university here in town, and my director of my department, whenever we would have an opening, we'd get applications in and we'd have phone interviews. And before we ever had the first interview, she would go and Facebook stalk these applicants, these candidates, to find out what they were and how they were and what type of person they were. And because and another thing she wanted to do is see, is this person a professional? Are they posting stuff on Facebook about how they don't like their current job? And if they are, geez, if I hire that person, what are they going to say about me? Are they posting inappropriate pictures? Because you don't want to have that. I don't want to hire somebody who is going to post inappropriate photos of them out at 2 a.m. You never want to do it. Like I tell my kids, nothing good happens after midnight. Tell my players that all the time. And it's true. So you want to make sure you hire somebody, employers are thinking, we want to hire somebody who's going to represent our company. And one of the big things you need to do is, no matter what, you need to start early. It is a full-time job finding a job, and it's going to start right away as soon as you step foot on campus and you kiss mommy and daddy goodbye at your car and go back up to your dorm room. Your career is already beginning. You're taking classes that are going to prepare you to do something eventually after college. First thing I recommend you doing is going down, finding out where your career development office is. Go down there and make friends with the people who work there. You want to make sure those people know your name, they know your face, because they are your strongest allies in this process. They have career development office professionals, have employers who call them all the time looking for good candidates. Because if your school has a good reputation, for example, for, let's say, engineering, you're gonna, you may have an engineering company call them and say, hey, do you know anybody who may want to intern for us over the summer? Do you know anybody who may be a senior who's about to graduate that is looking for an opportunity? And the first thing that you want them to do is think of you. So go down to career and professional development office on campus, whatever it may be called, and just talk to them. Let them know who you are. Maybe there's a place in their office for you to study, for you to do some homework. That may be a good time to start writing a resume. Just let those people know who you are and start early. And as I said before, it typically is a full-time job trying to find a job. It's not going to all work like magic. And on average, it takes job seekers 3 to 5 months to find a job, sometimes even longer. So it's a process where you need to be patient, where you need to network, where you need to go ahead and get ready. And if there's any questions for me this evening, go ahead and raise your hand in the chat. If you want to make a comment, you can comment on the video feed if you're watching this later. Now, there's some things I want you to consider as you go ahead and you look for a job. And these are some things that I remember when I was working on staff and I was going out on expansions and we were recruiting students to join our chapters. We talked a lot about values and know what your values are. Do your values line up with this company that you're about to interview with or that you're interested in interning for, or you interested in possibly even working for before too? Find out what's your preferred work environment. The work environment is changing like crazy, especially since the pandemic was going. Companies are still trying to figure out what they want to do and what those workplaces look like. Of course, when the pandemic hit, the world shut down and we were all working from home. I worked at home for about 3.5 months during the pandemic. Not going into work. That was different for me. I realized during that time that I have to be around other people when I work because I feed best off of other people's energy and being able to talk to people and talking to my colleagues at the office. So figure out what's your preferred work environment. It could be working from home. It could be going to the office. It just depends, and that's all on you. Another one to figure out is what type of supervisor am I seeking? They say that people don't leave jobs. People leave their supervisors for a reason because they may not be treated fairly. So know what kind of supervisor you want. And this may take some time for you to figure that out. There's some jobs where I had a supervisor who was always down my throat all the time, on top of everybody, setting deadlines. I found out real quick, I don't work that way. Then I've had supervisors who let me do my thing, who will let me do my job and that they hired and trusted me to do. So figure out what type of supervisor you're seeking. Another big one is, where do I want to live and work? That's a huge one. Some people immediately after school, they're like, I want to go back to my hometown and live and work. Others may be like, oh, I want to go wherever I can find a job. Figure that out. Kind of figure out, where do I want to live and work at? Because where you work at is it can cause you a lot of unhappiness, or you can be really happy. I remember when I went to go work for Phi Kappa Tau in 2007 up in Oxford, Ohio. I grew up in the Southeast my whole life. It hardly ever snowed. It was beautiful weather, 11 months out of the year. I moved up to Oxford and I saw the first snowfall in October. It was around Halloween. It kind of freaked me out a little bit. Then it really didn't stop snowing until April. So that kind of got me down. And I was like, man, this cold thing is I don't like this being cold all the time. I hate being cold. So I'm like, okay, so one of these days, if my next job is going to be, I have to go back down south. I have to go back to the Southeast because I don't like buying big old Parkers and big old North Face jackets to wear 4 months out of the year. I like wearing shorts. I like wearing a little hoodie. That's how I'm comfortable. But figure out where you want to live and work. And then so this evening, let's take a look at some of the challenges that people may face. And the two ones in red are what we're going to be really focusing on this evening. Little work experience and little networking. Because chances are, if you are an undergrad, if you're a sophomore who's sitting at the house watching this, or at the apartment with your brothers, you may not have much work experience. So how can I translate that to an employer? We're going to talk about that, as well as little networking. But before we do that and go into all that, there's some challenges that people face just coming out of school. Uncertainty with a major. What am I going to do with this major? I was a journalism and electronic media major at the University of Tennessee. It was a great program. It was great for me. The reason I decided to major in that was for two things. I love talking sports. I still love talking about sports. And I talk sports all the time with my fraternity brothers. I even hosted my own sports radio talk show at the campus, on the campus radio station. But and the second thing is there was a major that did not require much math. Math is not my strong suit. Ask my wife, ask my students I have now. They try to get me to do math in real time, and I can't do it. Math is just not me. That's not how I think. But I had a problem after school trying to find a job because my major was a little bit uncertain. There's a lot of high competition. There's a lot of candidates out there who are very good, very strong, that everybody's looking at. So you got to figure out a way to separate yourself and to highlight what you need to do. So let's go into one of the big things, and that is our resume. Resumes, y'all, these are some of the most important things that you need. Resumes are the roadmap to your success. So I got another little Jamboard for you here. And if you click on that for me, it's going to take you to it. And I will share my screen with you here. I want to know from you, what do you know about resumes? And why is it important to have a good resume? So just like last time, you're going to go over here to the sticky note and you're going to type a note for it. So you may want to say something like, I know that resumes are a key to landing a job interview. And then just post it on there for me. And once again, you can also post in the comment section of the video. And take about 30 seconds in order to type in your response. And once you have done that, I have a little video for you. And if this is you, type it in the chat box if you've had this feeling before. Shout it out, let us know, or type in the comment section.
Before you say anything, the other guy started it.
I don't want to hear it. What the hell is wrong with you, Max? Another bar fight? You're better than this. God, in all my years of sector command, I've never met a prospect like you. This is one hell of an impressive resume. Bachelor's degree in English with a minor in film studies, a 2.92 GPA, proficiency in Microsoft Office.
I know what I can do.
And you're throwing it all away, Max. America needs you. What if we need to do a mail merge or build up macros in Excel?
I guess you just have to find someone else. Because when I said I was proficient in Microsoft Word, I just meant I used it to write a few essays.
No, you're selling yourself short, Max. I can see here that you're a fast learner, that you're a real go-getter. We could sure as hell use someone with your attention to detail.
Why do you care so much?
Because we need someone who has your training. I mean, you've got bartending certification, improv classes, couples cooking, a full-fledged member of the chess club, sales associate at a Cinnabon for 30 whole days one summer. And don't even get me started on your special interests.
Boats.
That's right. Just the word boats.
If I come back this time, what's different?
We want to give you your own division. We're impressed by your leadership skills.
Secretary of the high school anime club?
That's an important role. Must be. It's the only bullet point under the huge heading that says leadership experience.
If you make the top part bigger, makes the one thing you have seem better.
That's smart thinking, Max.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Damn it, Max, I need someone with your problem-solving skills. I mean, look at this. You couldn't figure out how to print double-sided, so you stapled 2 pages back to back.
So you noticed that, huh?
You're damn right I noticed that. I noticed that it's 2 different paper stocks, too. Where the hell else am I gonna find someone who's comfortable with Spanish? That's almost fluent, Max!
Well, as they say in Mexico, no. I'm sick of your rules.
I'm not giving up on you until you say yes.
Well, you know where to find me.
That's right. NarutoFan420 at rocketmail.com.
Actually, that's an old email.
That's what you have written down on the resume.
I forgot to change the header part.
Oh.
I have a new one that's more professional. It's NarutoFan420 at gmail.com.
Then I guess I'll be contacting you there. You know, I would have expected a lot more from the son of Bruce Action.
My father?
He was a good man.
Wait. What's the gig?
It's an unpaid internship.
Now, as we're putting our resume together from watching that video, do you feel like you kind of share some maybe characteristics with Max and what was going on there as you were building your resume? It's okay. It's perfectly normal to have an interest in boats, to even put that on your resume. That's okay. I wouldn't recommend it. Maybe that's something I would save for that job interview. But as we go into resume writing, if I can stress anything to you, is that your resume needs to cover and tell the story of your academic journey and your accomplishments during college. It's kind of like the roadmap and the story of your professional career. You always want to make sure that you sell your strongest skills and accomplishments and also show how you are a match for the position. Now, in the chat box or in the comments below, I want you to tell me what the most important part of your resume may be. And it is your contact information. Making sure your contact information is on your resume is the most important thing, because these employers are going to be calling you. They're going to be emailing you, asking for an interview, maybe even setting up a phone interview or a Zoom video. So you want to make sure you can be accessible. So your name also needs to have, you need to also have your full name, address, phone number, and email address on your resume. Spell out your street name, as don't abbreviate. So for example, don't use AVE for Avenue. Use Avenue. Spell out the words. You also want to make sure you include the email address that you check most often. As Max had in the video, his email was a little bit funky. Make sure it's professional. I'd strongly recommend using your first and last name at gmail.com. If you're an undergrad and you check your school email all the time, put that on there, the .edu, so that people can call you, because that's professional. The last thing an employer wants to do is they see your email address and they're like, why is this guy, Cleveland Browns fan for life at yahoo.com? That tells me nothing about you except that you're a Browns fan. But so make it professional. Make sure you have a voicemail set up on your phone that is professional. I remember when I was working at a college in the career office at a school down in South Carolina, and I would call students about job opportunities, and students would have their kid as their voicemail. And I'm like, that's cute, very cute. Nothing wrong with having your son or daughter on your voicemail. However, it's not professional. I want to hear your voice if I'm an employer and I'm calling. So make it professional. Say, hi, my name is Mike Casasanta. I cannot come to the phone right now. Please leave your name, number, and a short message, and I'll get right back to you. Have a great day. Something like that, short and sweet, so the person can hear your voice on the other line and take you as a serious person. So if you get anything from your contact information, make sure it's on there. It should be the very first thing on top of your resume. Have a professional sounding email and a professional sounding voicemail. Next up is education. And you always want to include your education below your contact information. Always list your most recent degree first. Detail what degree and major you're doing, as well as your expected graduation date. Next up is GPA. A lot of people have different opinions. Do I include my GPA on my resume? Do I not include my GPA on my resume? Simple rule of thumb for me is if your GPA is above a 3.0, list it on there. Show everybody how intelligent you are, how hardworking you are, and how good of a student you are. Show that to the employers. If it's not, that's okay too. But if it's above a 3, throw it on there too. Once again, just like with the spelling out your street address, spell out your degree title. So you earned a Bachelor of Arts from North Carolina State University. Say Bachelor of Arts, don't use the abbreviations BA. If you've won any academic awards or you participate in a study abroad program, include that on there too. That's good to see, especially if you've studied abroad. I'm not sure how many undergrads have studied abroad the last couple of years due to the global pandemic, but you may have, and if that applies to you, type that on there. Another thing that's back to the old pot roast analogy. Some career advisors may say, put your high school on there. Some say don't. I'm on the fence of do not include your high school on your resume. You have a college degree. Every employer knows that if you're going to have a college degree, if you're going to graduate in the spring, you graduated from high school. So that's just a waste of space on the resume, a waste of a line. Go ahead and just automatically take it off. And let's talk about professional experience. If you have any, I want you to include on your experience section of your resume all paid and unpaid that experiences that you want to highlight. Now, the big thing is make sure they are relative to the position you are applying for. So if you're applying for a sales job, for example, and one thing that you did in college was you worked at as a car salesman on the weekends, that shows your sales experiences right there. Put that on there. For every position, you want to make sure you have your job title on there, the company you worked for, where the city and state it was in, as well as the dates that you worked there. Now I know college students, you work jobs, maybe you may switch jobs every 4 to 5 months. I would make sure that you only include on your resume the jobs that you were there longer than 90 days. So that's 3 months. Hopefully, you work the same job the whole time you were in college, but nowadays that's very rare. So you want to make sure that you have all jobs on there that you were there at least 3 months. Always include your most recent job at the top section of your resume. That's the first thing that you want to highlight in drawing that attention to it for the employer to see. If you worked a job in the past, mean you don't work there now, use past tense verbs. Speaking right in the past. If you currently have a job right now that you're still there and it's on your resume, make sure you use present tense vocabulary. Now, let's say you did not have any work experience in college. Perfectly normal. There's some people out there who didn't have to work in college and they've never held a job in their life. You can include a lot of different things on there for the experience section. I'd recommend including leadership positions. So any positions you may have held in a club on campus, any volunteering experiences you may have. When I was in college, for example, I helped coach a basketball team at the Y for a couple seasons. I put that on there because that is experience. You're leading a team of people, and that looks really good. If you have any major academic projects, I'd include that on there too as experience. Some of your projects for your classes are really intense. I'd brag about that. I'd show off what you have. The next section you want to include is skills. So if you speak a foreign language fluently, or you understand code, or you have a special certifications or any licenses, you may hold a CDL, for example, include that on there. Show it off, particularly if you speak a foreign language. Now, the main thing that you need to remember on your skills section, make sure that any skill you put on there, you're proficient in. The last thing you want to do is, if on your skills section, it says, I speak fluent Spanish, and it comes to the interview, and maybe they talk to you in Spanish and you can't answer it, that doesn't look too good on you. So make sure that you're proficient in everything that you put on there, because what you put on your resume, employers are open up and can ask any questions about that. It's a fair ball game. So make sure you are proficient and be accurate in naming any software programs or any type of programming or coding language that you use, and spell them right, spell the names right. Because if you don't, that looks really bad on you. If there's a misspelled word on your resume and I'm looking to hire somebody, there's a misspelled word, I'm not going to hire them because it shows lack of attention to detail to me. Also, if you have any soft skills, list those on there. Leadership, teamwork. You should have learned a lot of those skills, those important soft skills, as a member of Phi Kappa Tau. Employers are looking at soft skills. They want people who can work as part of a team, who have that team experience, and also those leadership roles. Now, the question I get all the time is, Mike, I was at a fraternity in college. How do I list that on my resume? Because, we all deal with fraternity stereotypes. I don't have to get into what those are. You guys know them. But your fraternity experience, particularly your Phi Kappa Tau experience, was an important part of your collegiate journey. So you want to make sure that you include that on your resume. So what I would do is I would add a section on my resume and I would title it Fraternity Experience. You can also title it Phi Kappa Tau Experience if you deem fit, but I would call it Fraternity Experience. I'd list it right underneath my skills, skills section, or you could even put it above your skills section. Now, by showing off your fraternity experience, it tells an employer that you have diverse interests beyond your academic coursework. When I was on staff, Phi Tau had a brand called Learning, Leading, Serving. And I really liked that brand because it was who we were about as a fraternity. So you want to use this section to show off your leadership experiences, your learning experiences, and also any philanthropy or community service experiences you've had. You can utilize this fraternity experience section to showcase the soft skills you developed over the 4 years you were in Phi Kappa Tau. By having a section like this, it shows employers that you have a proactive mindset, and you take initiative and you embrace new opportunities to get things done. It also showcases your philanthropy in community service, because guys, philanthropy and community service, those are silver bullets for employers, excuse me. They want to see that you're involved in the community. They want to see that you're invested, because if you're like that, a lot of times you'll see Facebook posts or Instagram posts of companies working in the community, helping build a house for Habitat for Humanity, or volunteering at a food pantry. They like that stuff. That's great PR for companies. So if you're already doing that stuff, show it off and talk about it on your resume. And that's also really good stuff you can talk about in a job interview. And the purpose of our resume is to get that interview for the job. And when we get the interview for our job, that's where we sell ourselves. So other things to include, maybe mention something that there's membership requirements. We had to have a certain GPA in order to be initiated or to hold an office in your fraternity. You can list different community service hours that you served over the years you were in the chapter. Listing philanthropic events that you participated in, any committees you were on, any leadership positions you held. Even if you weren't on the executive council, say the committees that you were on. What did the committee do? What events did you help organize? Did you help organize homecoming? Because that's, depending on what school you go to, that's a big deal. What type of stuff did you plan? So you want to make sure you include all of that. Now, particularly when it comes to leadership experience, I want you to list your Phi Kappa Tau leadership experience just as you would a professional experience, because some of these positions on exec, they are full-time jobs in and of themselves. If you're a chapter president who's watching this, you probably spend a whole lot of time on your chapter and on your job. When describing your leadership experience, be specific about what you did. And also, if you participated in any type of professional development training or leadership training, include that as well. Because when you go and you work for a company, they're going to want to send you to professional development training. They're going to want to send you to a leadership conference. So if you've already done that stuff and you're familiar with how to do that, you're already there. So let's list that on the resume. If you attended convention, or if you're going to convention this summer, you may want to talk about that, because you were a voting member. You helped make legislative changes to the fraternity. And also, last but not least, use specific examples when you highlight your roles and responsibilities. Now, how do you list this stuff on a resume? What are some key words to maybe use if you're the chapter president and you're looking at that section? So things that may show what you did. I'm the chapter president. I oversaw all chapter operations in my chapter. We had 150 plus members. If I'm an employer and I am looking to hire somebody, and I see that you're 21 years old and you practically supervised 150 college students, I'm going to look at that and say, dadgum, I want to interview that guy, because that guy knows how to work with people. He knows how to deal with different personalities. Chapter president also helps with the EC. They supervise and delegate EC responsibilities to non-executive council members. So that shows me I have supervisor experience already. Also, if you're a chapter president, you talk a lot with your IFC office on campus. You may speak with alumni. You may be in touch with your success manager at the Phi Kappa Tau executive office staff. Put that on there. That shows you know how to work with people. That shows you know how to reach out whenever you may need advice or if you have questions. It shows initiative. Now, let's go to another one. Chapter treasurer. And this is something that's always been kind of amazing. When I was on staff, I marveled at I admired some of the chapter treasurers in our bigger chapters, because there were, you had 19, 20, 21-year-old students, college students, handling and managing bank accounts that had $850,000 in it. That's a lot of money. And if you are a chapter treasurer and that applies to you, hats off to you. That's amazing. Talk about that. That shows you know how to manage money, and that's a big time thing to be able to do. That shows responsibility. Another thing to put on there: paid all bills in a timely manner in an insured organization with a good financial standing with the university and the Phi Kappa Tau executive offices. Throw that on there. What that's going to do is that shows that you know how to get your work done on time. And all employers out there, they want to see, they're going to want to, if your boss gives you a project on Monday and they say, Mike, I need this on my desk by Friday morning at 8 o'clock, they're going to know that you can do that in project and get that done on time because you paid all those bills when you were the treasurer of at your Phi Kappa Tau chapter. If you have budgeting software, some of y'all may use Microsoft Excel to manage funds. There's other software out there that helps chapters do that as well. List that on there and be specific about the name of the software. Because if you know how to, because every company out there, they use software to get stuff done. They want to know what type of software you use, and more importantly, you know how to do that. And feel free to contact me at my contact information is going to be on the very last slide. If you need help writing a resume, if you're an officer, hey, you want to figure out, hey, how do I do that? What are some things I can say? I can help brainstorm with you. I have no problem doing that. Now, the second most important thing is networking. Being able to talk to people and to see what type of jobs are open and helping to try to get a job. And networking, what it does, it makes personal and builds professional and personal connections and allows you to build different relationships. You can discover job openings just by talking to somebody. You can figure out who may be the person in charge, who reviews all the resumes, just from talking to different people at different places. Now, here's some tips for how to network. You can connect with people you already know, connect with fraternity brothers, connect with alumni, university staff and professors may be able to help. You never know who these people know, particularly if you have a class that is taught by an adjunct professor. That person may work during the day, then come to your university or college at night and teach a class. They may have a job opening where they work. You never know. Talk to them, reach out with emails or calls. See if somebody wants to grab lunch or coffee to talk about different opportunities. And finally, networking can occur at any time. It can occur at alumni weekend. It can occur at homecoming. It can occur at a football game, before a football game. or even after, if you will. One thing that if you're a vice president of alumni relations, one thing to consider is maybe, I plan a networking event and see if I can get some alumni from who work at companies that may be hiring to come talk to guys at the next chapter meeting. Informal networking happens all the time as well. Whether it's on campus, with alumni visiting, or even talking to other students in your classes. You just never know. Now, if you have any questions, my contact information is on the next slide. Please list them in the, you can list them in the chat box. You can put them on the YouTube video comments. And here is my contact information one more time. Email me, call or text. Love to talk with you, love to network, love to be a resource for you so you can land your dream job and be successful. And so I hope you enjoyed this session and I hope even a little bit of the stuff that we talked about this evening goes in your career playbook. Thank you very much.
And thank you so much, Mike, for all that valuable insight and sharing your time with us this evening. Also, thank you to all the Progress participants who are watching this. I hope you got some value out of that. I know I did, even well into my career. So I really appreciate you helping us out, Mike, and presenting to us. In the comments of this video, there is a link to submit any feedback you may have. That feedback should take you less than 2 minutes, and it's really going to help Phi Kappa Tau to provide the best programming possible into the future. So please take the time, just fill it out, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you again for your participation, and we look forward to seeing you at future sessions. Our next session is a very important one. It'll be on May 25th, and we're going to be talking about a topic that's near and dear to many of us and to our fraternity. May is Mental Health Month, and we're going to be talking about the mental health of ourselves and also our brothers. So we hope that you can join us then. Thank you so much.